Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Referrals Podcast. Are you going to love today's guest or what? And you know what? The or what is not even an option. I'm telling you, you're going to love this guy because he's going to tell you specifically how you can have success running your events in a big way. How would you like to make money, making money, and it's all tax deductible? What? Yeah, we're going to show you how to make money making money, and it's legal. And not only is it legal, the government's going to give you money back for doing it. Are you sold? Are you in? I think you're in. So before we get to our special guest today, I have to do a quick shout out to Tara Michelli, one of our winners from Summerfest in 21. This was the greatest 30 days of my life. Took me out of my comfort zone on a lot of the challenges. Best thing is building stronger relationships in Summerfest. I'm telling you, we have Summerfest coming up in July. It's the entire month of July. It's daily coaching. You get a referral strategy a day that you will implement, and then you have the option to post in our Join Gen group what you did. But every single day, I'm going to give you a video where you have the opportunity to take that suggestion or that strategy, implement it that day, and get referrals every day for all of July. It's the Summerfest Challenge. Go to summerfestchallenge.com to check it out. You're going to love it. Everybody loves it. You'll be in there with like 300 to 400 other people who are in this challenge. Last year, I believe we had 16 to 20 winners, which means they did every challenge every day. And the payoff was referrals and income for all of those challengers in Summerfest Challenge. Summerfestchallenge.com to check that out. And then also, wouldn't it be great if you could rub elbows with people who are building their business with love, generosity, and appreciation? Like, wouldn't it be great to be part of a referral network that has people who work their business by referral and understand outgoing referrals to you? And wouldn't it be great if we could meet together live in person with all the energy that an event gives you? Well, guess what? RMS22.com. Referral Mastery Summit is our annual conference. We're doing it in Orlando, Florida, September 27th, 28th, and 29th at the Boutique Hotel B. You've got to check this hotel out. Michael Jackson actually bought the entire 17th floor to have on his own when he was doing his stuff with Universal there in Orlando. You got to check it out. It's the B Hotel, September 27th through the 29th. It is RMS22.com. Check those out when you have a second. Speaking of referrals, we have the Baron of Referrals here today. I'm telling you, are we kicking butt with this? Our guest today is Danny Barron. Danny is the lead agent at the Barron Group out of Cincinnati, Ohio, the hippest city in the country. He has a passion for people and will stop at absolutely nothing to deliver the highest level of service. And he might be one of the most joyful and high energy people you'll ever meet, one of the highest energy and joyful people I've ever met. Prior to starting the Baron Group, Danny spent nearly two years working as a new home sales consultant for a high-end custom home builder. His knowledge of new construction and the real estate market make him a vast source of knowledge, both for his team and his community and his clients. Outside of real estate, Danny focuses on serving at his church, spending time with his family and friends, and staying active at the gym or any sports league he can join. Danny Barron, welcome to Referrals Podcast, buddy.
Hey, it is a pleasure to be here. I have been looking forward to this ever since I hit the calendar and could not be more excited to connect today, Michael.
Us too, right? I mean, it's like we tried to schedule, we had to reschedule, we tried to schedule, and I'm telling you, it was worth the wait. I will tell you that here's the thing that I love about this, is it all started with you in an act of appreciation, right? Is honestly, we had never met, we had never really interacted, and then I get an email that literally, I get a lot of emails. You get a lot of emails. But I got this email from you, and you're a phenomenal writer. I mean, period. And it came from the heart, I could tell. I instantly printed it, showed my wife, because I want my wife to appreciate me too, right? And it's like, look, there are people who appreciate me. I'm just throwing it out there, honey. And then I shared it with the team, and then I shared it with the Generosity Generation world because I have to tell you that right before I got it, I had just done a series of road trips, and it was exhausting. It was just because of COVID and the mask and the travel. Right. Travel right now is unbelievable. And I was just tired, and I was just like, I had a headache, and then I read it, and it's just like, that's freaking why I do it. And so the first thing that I want to do before we even jump in is I want to say thank you for reaching out with appreciation. You had no agenda. You didn't ask to be on the podcast. You had no agenda but to express appreciation, and it meant a lot to me and my team. So thank you.
Well, at the end of the day, I just had to step back and realize years after getting into this business, I assessed kind of our last client event we did. And we're going to get into a ton of those details, but I just sat back and thought, I wonder if I'm his best case study ever. Like, I honestly wondered, this whole thing, all that we've created, I've now trained 10 team members on it. I have trained the Keller Williams region on it. I trained my office probably twice a year on it. And I didn't start it, buddy. You did. So I thought, man, the least I can do is see if his email is somewhere accessible. So I just popped online just to see if you were even an accessible person. I mean, it kind of felt like emailing Zac Efron or Michael Jordan. Like, I didn't know if somebody was going to see that and just, he gets these all day, delete. But I just thought from my heart, I'm like, I need to express how thankful I am that you've helped literally change my life, my business, and the people on my team's lives. And they don't even know who you are. So I got to share that at my team agenda. Hey, I sent this email out and he responded in 10 minutes. I couldn't believe it. So that was a win-win, man. I can't believe how well that went. I'm going to be fully transparent. I didn't know this podcast existed. So there was no agenda whatsoever on my end. I have certainly listened to it since then, and I'm already pushing into new levels of what I want to do next. Nice. But man, it's just really cool to connect with you in that way, and wanted you to know truly how thankful I was for the tools that you've equipped me with.
Well, and that's the thing about appreciation, is that we don't even know how it will be received or if it will be received on the other end, but we still need to express it. I mean, that's the first lesson of today's podcast, is express your appreciation no matter how it's going to be received. No matter how, don't worry about it. Like you said with the Zac Efron and Michael Jordan, it's just like, just send it out. And if there is no response, you still feel really good. You know what? At the very least, I did that, and there's a little box in your head that is now checked off, and it feels pretty good to at least have put it out there. And also, who knows, right? Who knows? What would be great is you did that, we connected, and then somebody that listens to this show has a buyer or seller who's going to Cincinnati, Ohio, and you get this awesome referral out of it, right? I mean, it's like, and it's like just from one email that you sent, that was a true
there's a chain, right? The chain reaction.
And that's how it works, right? I mean, that's we either proactively are generous, right? We practice proactive generosity, or we are proactive with appreciation, right? Yep. I didn't say, hey, everybody in the world, please appreciate me. You just wrote it, and can
I chime in right there? So you mentioned generosity, and you're so much about that. And I know you talk about being that generation that looks different, and what does that look like to be referral based, to be a generous person in business. And you mentioned in my bio that I was at one point working for a custom home builder. The part that's not in the bio is that did not go well, because I was in a new market for him, and I was representing a product that was overpriced. He's still a good friend of mine to this day, but the product wasn't selling, which is what pushed me into getting a license. But during that period, there's one story that stood out to me. I took a friend out to Chipotle, and I couldn't buy his lunch. And we're talking $6 at the time. What is it? $9 now, $6.50 at the time. And I remember standing there and kind of awkwardly going, yeah, we're separate. And it's not that I had to, but the expectation from my heart is always, if I'm going to lunch with somebody, it's not a question. Like, I don't want that to ever even cross their mind. And if they push back like crazy, I'm not going to be a jerk about it, but also recognizing from that point, okay, not only is this role that I'm in life now affecting me, it's affecting my world and my tribe of people because I can't do and treat people the way that I want to. Money's not the end all be all for me. It never will be. Money can help solve some problems and make them simpler, but it doesn't improve health. It doesn't improve. There's so many things that life is bigger than. And for me, as a follower of Christ, especially, my life is so much bigger than just money or success. So now when I go out to lunch and the elements of, and I mean this in all sincerity, that you've helped me build my business without even knowing it, which is why I reached out, I do get to buy people's lunch, and I get to buy my team's lunch, and I get to buy our clients lunch and coffee. And it's never a question. I don't ever want it to be a question again. And that source of generosity, it was amazing how, even though it was still in my heart, I couldn't apply it. So there has to be some level of business success to support putting the money on the table for lunch, right?
That's right. That's right. And what the thing about generosity too is that the universe wants to reciprocate, right? I mean, it's like I always say, like, how would you like the universe to conspire for your success, or how would you like God to conspire and think about your success? And it's like, if you're always generous, you're always giving. Who? Like, what's going to happen? Like, it's going to reciprocate. It's going to come back. It may be not directly. It might be not immediately, but it is going to reciprocate. And here's how it happens sometimes is that the person you bought the Chipotle lunch for, and that's a small gesture, but it's a nice gesture, and you didn't have to do it, right? And what happens is they're talking to someone who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, and they're thinking, you know what? We talked to this Danny Barron guy, and we're thinking about maybe listing our home with him and selling it through him and maybe buying another. Well, that person you bought the Chipotle, he's not the direct referral, but he goes, you should totally use Danny. He's a great guy, And then what happens is they want to work with a great guy, and then the snowball just keeps continuing where it's generosity and appreciation, and it's all based on love, right? Generosity is love in action, and appreciation is love in reaction, and we work with all the momentum that does in our life, right? So the universe is conspiring for your success and for my success because we're always giving massive value. We're always giving, and we're always receiving, and I've had to learn how to be an appreciative receiver.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely easier to be a generous giver than an appreciative receiver for me in the past, for sure. So, all right. So how did this all start, right? So I've got to how does your 7L story start? How did you learn about the 7L system in the very first place, right?
What's so funny is it wasn't the book. So when I started in real estate, there's a guy from my office who now I'm great friends with. And I think at the time, there was this conspiring part of his brain that wanted me to join his team. Yeah. And now we have competing teams, which I kind of foresaw when I got into this business of this is how I want to build it. And he's somebody that I look up to. And he's, even as I'm looking at the 7L logo behind you, his name is Peter Zimmer, and his logo is a Z, very similar to that. Cool. And so Peter hands me this book and says, hey, you need to read this. What Peter didn't know is that I'm a big Audible guy. I'm a big podcast guy. So I took that book and probably sat on it for a year and a half. Never downloaded it, never
Which
thought
is
of
a
it.
long time for everybody to know to actually set on a book. We don't recommend that you set on a book unless you're very short and need it to drive. But I just want you to, and if you're going to do that, buy 5, because you're probably going to need 5 books to set on when you're driving. But to set on it, and I appreciate that you're at least setting on it, hoping that it would hatch, right?
At some point, and for him, he at some point reached out and said, "Hey, can I get that back?" It was that moment where it was like, "Hey, can I?" And at that point, I had to blitz and open it up. And you know what's crazy? It was at that point that I put together who you were. So as opposed to it starting with that book, about 3 months into my real estate journey, someone from my office who is still a super respected leader, I actually will not hire anyone unless she interviews them to this day. And she told me, hey, people with a network, it sounds to me like you have a good network as you're starting in real estate. Yeah, you can make a big Facebook post. You could do a little giveaway on social media, which I was already thinking about. But some people throw a launch party. And that was the best advice I got. I don't drink. So her suggestion was some people might do an open bar. I'm a worship leader at a Baptist church. That's just not going to fly with my 5-year-old kids of my clients. So what I thought was, what can I do at a creative meeting space with a pulled pork lunch and giveaways and fun and stuff. So before I ever even had a license, I'm planning this party. I get licensed, and then 175 people came to this party.
Oh my gosh.
Not because, oh my gosh, Danny's getting his license and we love real estate. It was, hey, we've known this kid since he was 5 and we like him and he has lived a good life that hasn't put any of us off, and we want to support him, and we know his parents and his sister and whatever else. It was a reunion of my whole life, man. It was one of the coolest days I've ever had. And I look back at the photos now, and I promise you, of those 175, it's got to be triple digits that are clients now, that have now bought in the last 4 years, have bought or sold. But after that event, I remember walking out and thinking, Michael, how do I do that again? That was the best day of my life. And I was instantly scheming, do I do a 1 year anniversary? You can't do that. No one cares about your 1 year. They were here to support the kickoff. What do you, and it was at that point that I was listening to the Real Estate Rockstars podcast with Pat Hyben. There was one randomly called how to get, I think you said 500 plus referrals a year through client events. And I looked at that and thought, I don't have any clients yet, but it'd be cool if I could throw events for all the people that did this. In that entire podcast, I'll tell you, there were two big takeaways for me. You talked about the thing that I hate the most, which is bugging people. You talked about not having to reach out to people and say, who do you know that's willing to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? I'm telling you, man, if there's one thing that's off brand for me, it is bugging and nagging and selling to people. I'm a relationship guy. I had 12 groomsmen in my wedding. I'm a freak. I have no boundaries on friendship. I just love everyone. So when that is put in front of me, that I don't have to bug people anymore, whereas I had been trained in all these new real estate classes to just crush the phones. And I learned really quickly, if this business is crushing the phones, I think I'm out. Like, I don't think I can do that. And you said in that podcast, you know what's better than asking people for something 40 times a year with your 40 touch point programs is inviting them to something and then reiterating it and following up and showing them that you invited it and then thanking them whether they came or not. And that element of just, holy smokes, if I do 4 things a year, which can be anything, those are all of my touch points, and I don't have to bug anybody ever again. And as the social freak that I am, I get to hang out with all of my people 4 times a year, and there's no limits on what it can be. Whoa. And my brain just about exploded. I think it's a 47-minute episode, and it changed my life unfathomably. And I still make any new team member that comes on our team listen to that and go back and say, hey, this is why we do what we do. And this is what we build from. We aren't, I think one of your examples was for Arbor Day, giving away trees at the office or something like that. You made the joke, which has lasted really well for me and is very true. When somebody walks in at the end and goes, oh, well, everybody must have already come. You can go, yeah, well, I'm just glad you made it. You don't have to acknowledge no one's come yet. Like, you're the only one. Unfortunately, we don't have no one coming to our events, but there is the element when I've trained at my office to say, it's not about who comes. And you taught me this in that podcast. It's about the touch points before and after. And my biggest advice to anybody listening to this podcast is, if you're going to have a successful event where people do come, you better have a professional photographer there, and you better have a professional videographer there, because that lives on forever. And there's nobody in the world that's seen a 2.5-minute video pop up on Facebook that they might be in, not watch every second of that video to see if they were in it. So
that's
I'll
the
pause
genius
there, but that was the beginning of how. And then from there, when summoned upon by Peter Zimmer to give the book back, I decided I should probably read this real quick. And when I saw the name at the bottom of that book, I about passed out. I was like, this is the same dude. This is the guy from the podcast. I had no idea the 7L existed. I had no idea that you were the guy from the podcast and the book. And I read the book and thought, of course this is him. Of course it is.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm getting chills listening to this, to be totally honest with you. First of all, for you to put, 2 + 2 + 2 + 2 together right from that 47-minute podcast, and for it to click for you so quickly is just amazing. I mean, we're on episode 249 of the podcast, and there's people who still haven't done an event, Danny. I mean, it's like, how many times do we got to tell them, get into event mastery and do a damn event? Like, just do an event. And
it doesn't even have to blow up. You just have to do it.
You don't want it to blow up. I mean, that's the thing, is like, the best people in the world are non-attendees.
Right.
That's the thing that is so amazing about the system, is that, calling and inviting people, and if they can't attend it, you're like, secretly, you're like, oh, good, right? It's actually saving you some money. Yes,
money
if they come, it's awesome, right? If they come, you get to intermix and you get to mingle, and they get to, you get the big part of that, which is like plus like equals 2 loves. 2 people who like you meet each other and talk about you, because that's their common point of interest at the event. And then when they walk away, they both love you, because they have that social proof that it's like,
I've never heard anybody say that, but that I watch that happen every time. And now it's happening for all the agents on our team who are getting these free events to bring people to, funded by yours truly and our team. And for them, they get to watch their people meet my people, and they talk about how much they love each other. So the next time I can't show that person a house and this person shows up, they already love them because their other friends told them how great they were and how they knew. It's this system of glory that just does the work for you.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's leverageable, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the one thing that we have that I don't know of anybody else that has is we have a leverageable referral mastery system, referral system that's leverageable and scalable. You know, it's scalable to 1,000 units and more, or you could do 10 units a year and be fine and have fun doing it. So, all right. So let's talk about the launch party just a little bit. And I know you're like, that was a long time ago, but I think the first thing is that I hope that somebody that is newer to real estate gets referred to this podcast. And that's my very first big move in real estate was a launch party. I only had 50 people, and I was not raised Baptist, so I was beer and pizza. And I also discovered that people will drive miles for beer. I'm just telling you that I probably invited 200 people and 50 people showed up. Those 50 were my ambassadors to this day, literally. Yep. And it's funny you talk about the Earth Day birthday tree. It was Jeff Homan that was the one that came in and said, "Oh, good thing I got here when I did. There's only a few trees left." And it's like he didn't realize we had 7 total. Period. You know, we actually bought 25 because I think that was the minimum. But it was just like, yeah, good thing you came when you did. And I sincerely meant that with every ounce of my fiber, because it was like, dang, good thing. You know, otherwise we were going to be planting a lot of trees out behind the office. You know, but it was one of those. So who did you invite to your launch party? Like how did you invite them, and who did you invite to that?
I have told people forever, I don't know why in college I built this social media presence. High school and college, who knows what a high school or a college kid is thinking of posting photos and getting a network and sending friend requests. It meant nothing at the time besides social prowess, I guess. But I get into this world, and I've told people nowadays, I don't think I'd have an Instagram or a Facebook page that I was consistently posting to, but once every 3 months, if it wasn't the source of all things referral and connection for business. So understanding that I had that network at my fingertips, I've said forever, the one person one-on-one phone call where I'm probably going to bug them, or the one click that hits 1,000 people, it's not a question. So now what do you put in front of the 1,000 people that's actually still not annoying? That's the question of everybody does the same stuff and it's annoying. I'm not going to hire out the most important thing, which is my human-to-human connection, even if it is through Facebook or Instagram or whatever. I can't hire that out for top 5 ways to stage your home. It's got to be, hey, here's your friend I just closed on a house with, and now you have the trust in me because you see their face with me. So with that event, it was Facebook and leveraging a Facebook event, leveraging private messages, leveraging text messages. And I now use RSVPify as a software to help get RSVPs for events. I don't know that I even got RSVPs for this one. I think I just threw it and opened the doors.
What's the system you use again?
RSVPify. Yep.
RSVPify.
IFY. Yep. That's it. And we love that because it tracks, and we ahead of time with an event. So spoiler alert, we threw a Reds game this year, and for the second straight year had over 1,000 people RSVP. And that is getting first and last name, email, phone number, home address, t-shirt sizes, kids' names, all of it. And then forevermore, they're on the mailing list of things. And again, we're not sending out annoying emails. We're sending out things that are, hey, here's the next event, or here is 5 listings this weekend. Maybe you'll find one of these videos fun, or whatever. So with that launch party, the setup, and this is the key question for anybody throwing any event, any time in history, what would make me go, right? You have to stop and go, I'm not just going to throw a thing that may or may not be appealing to people. If this is for my network, for my people, what would make them come? So naturally, I had my former CEO and the owner of the creative meeting space that I met in for this party, and my pastor both smoke pulled pork. Everyone knows both of those dudes smoke pulled pork. One of them, I think, did like brisket, and one did the pork. Everybody loves their food, and they both did that, and that was a selling point. For me, that wasn't enough, though. I thought, I've got to give stuff away. So I contacted my dad, who was a dentist local in the area, and said, hey, what are we thinking for giveaways? He said, well, I'll give you a teeth whitening. I'll give you a $300 whatever. So random things like that, talking to business owners. I bought a ton of Starbucks gift cards at Kroger or whatever and put them on there. Had everybody fill out a sheet when they came in and stuck all their names in the thing and made a big Facebook Live giveaway afterwards. I didn't do it at the event because guess what? Facebook Live means you're tuning back into me again.
That's right.
And I wanted as much FaceTime at the beginning as I could get. So a lot of those elements of building any event to me are, if I'm taking people to a Reds game, that might be enough for them to come. But we still do T-shirts and sunflower seeds and bubble gum on top of that. The T-shirts is an additional $15,000. Yeah. But guess what? They're wearing those and remembering us forever.
Yeah.
And my vendors at this point are also giving us money to throw these events. So back to the launch party element, though, walking away from that, there is nothing like having the people rally around you. I've never been that energized in my whole life. And I'm telling you, coming down from the high of that, only to then have follow-up of clients actually start to call, was just like, my life just changed. Something happened. And I've just never been more energized about this business and this tactic. And I'm telling you, I found you at the perfect time because you built into that energy and showed me how to use it. And that's when it got dangerous.
Yeah. Well, you hit it on the head. Like I talk in event mastery, when I teach event mastery, I talk about the 5 sequences, right? The planning sequence, the invitation sequence, the confirmation sequence, the event sequence, and then the follow-up sequence. And I have the blank is the blank, right? The power is in the invite, right?
Yeah.
The efficiency is in the planning. The attendance is in the confirmation, right? Well, the energy is in the event. That's the energy that is going to propel all the other stuff. And then, of course, the fortune is in the follow-up sequence, right? The fortune is in the follow-up. But you hit it on the head, is there's so much energy around, like that's the thing I just had this conversation on Facebook. They were talking about ROI, return on investment, and what is it? And it's like, well, what's the return on investment when it comes to buying leads and things like that? And my counter to that is, what's the ROE, which is the return on energy. Like, what's the return on it? How much energy are you expending to maybe convert one of those or 2 of those versus having an event that drives your energy up, not just for the event, but for the invitations, for the confirmations, and for the follow-up? And what's the energy of referrals versus the energy of that one lead that you're doing everything you can to convert, right? And you're converting it for somebody else in a lot of cases. So it's one of those where the return on energy is huge with events, right?
That's good.
And you, like you said, how many times with lead generation, these people are listening to motivational videos on YouTube or whatever to make their calls, whereas we're more energized after we do the lead generation than we were before the lead generation.
Not even close. Yeah. Not even close.
Yeah, I mean, energy. I'm so into energy right now. I love that you mentioned that. And you're so in tune with the advantages and benefits of this methodology. Like I've
lived it for 2 years, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It is just like, and I'm watching my office mates that, without exaggeration, are putting $10,000 a month to Zillow. And then people look at me like I'm nuts when I spend 30 on a Reds game and only pay for 2/3 of it. And I'm like, are you serious? I got that back in a week. We sold 4 houses this week. It's already back. I'm moving on now, planning the golf outing or the trampoline park or whatever the next thing is. And I'm hyped.
Exactly. And you always have a reason to talk to people. Right. And the reason is always attractive and not repulsive, right? I can tell you the fastest way to go from 12 groomsmen to 1. Ask all 12 of them for referrals. Right. I mean, that's the good. No friends left league, right? The true NFL, So it's one of those where I speaking of NFL, congratulations. I don't know if you're a Bengals fan or not, but making Super Bowl this year.
I was at the Super Bowl, brother. I was there. I went, which was, it was so good until it wasn't.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get it. But still, you have to be that's a pretty good season for the cool. Expectations that have come, right?
So here, I'll give you this too. I'm 30 years old, and their last playoff win was 31 years ago. So this was the single best Cincinnati sports season of my life, and now I'm back to the Reds. So we're already moved on to our Bengals again. We can't wait.
I love it. I have to tell you, when the Chiefs won, it had been 50 years. It was 1969 when they had won their last one, and that was the year I was born. So it's like, same scenario, right? I definitely felt the joy in 2018, 2019. So, all right. So let's talk about how many events that you do per year. You mentioned several. Hey, Referrals podcast listeners, I am so excited to introduce you to Fight Camp. A lot of you have noticed that I've lost weight, that I've gotten in shape, that I look better, my face is thinner, and I have to tell you that's what makes me really excited about one of our new partners at Referrals Podcast, and that is Fight Camp. When I first started getting back into shape, my personal trainer had me grab a pair of boxing gloves just like this, and I noticed that in my core, I was seeing a difference very, very quickly. And honestly, sometimes when you're early in the process, it feels great to see results quickly. And that's what I was seeing. And that's what makes Fight Camp so awesome to me. I want you to check out Fight Camp. It has thousands of workouts on the app. They're all led by experts. And they can meet with you on your own terms, right? So the beauty of this is that there are live punch stats. So you literally know how strong you're punching, how long you're punching. So you know you're getting stronger. You know you're getting quicker. And honestly, the progress is everything. I love that about it. And you can even go head to head. So you can actually box with someone that's across the world, and you have the opportunity to even like do it in a family. So Max could work on his, and then I could work and see if I could beat his best. So I love that competitiveness to it, and that's big for our family, as he's nodding his head on that. Max, what do you have to add?
This is the biggest boxing community in the world without leaving your home.
Yeah, we talk all the time on Referrals Podcast about building your tribe of trust. One thing I love about Fight Camp is they're building their tribe of trust, and they've built this large group of people who love to work out, are looking to get in shape. I want you to check out Fight Camp. You can join fightcamp.com/referral. So you get free shipping when you join Fight Camp. I hope you check it out at joinfightcamp.com/referrals. And you will get free shipping on any package that you choose. Joinfightcamp.com/referrals.
I recently fell in love with this company called Palermo Body because of how they've changed the way I'm finding time. Palermo wants to change everyone's perception of body care and self-care with their incredible 100% natural ingredient products. Right now, my two most favorite products are their coffee scrub and their body oil. They are 100% all natural ingredients. I love using their products because the extra moments I take for myself when I'm using them are so easy to fit into a packed day, and they really center me. Meanwhile, my skin just loves the ingredients.
And me too.
And I am totally a convert.
And so am I.
I never thought that I would use an oil after a body scrub because usually oils are so heavy on my skin. My skin is so sensitive. This is literally the first body oil that did not make me feel greasy and awful. So we partnered with them for this episode, and they are giving all of our listeners a special discount. So if you want to try the coffee scrub and the body oil that we've been talking about, all you have to do is go to palermobody.com/referrals, and Palermo is PALERMO body, BODY.com/referrals, and you get 10% off.
All right, so let's talk about how many events that you do per year. You mentioned several. So let's talk about, like, you start in January. What's this look like January to December?
Yep. So this is quarterly for us, and I got that right from your podcast. I've never switched it. I've never adjusted it. We are only now talking about what it might look like to do instead of say 1Q1, 1Q2, 1Q3, 1Q4, and blowing them up as big as we can. Now we're starting to segment into what would it look like to do a client-specific event in Q3. One, and this is where I just mentioned a golf outing, and it's hilarious you say this about having stuff to talk about. This golf outing doesn't even exist yet. I have a voicemail from the course today to confirm things, but I've already told everybody. I'm already telling all of my client friends that I'm in a league tonight after this podcast, and I'm already, I'm going to be out there on the course saying, oh, we're going to have a free outing for you in September or whatever. It's not even come to fruition yet. but I'm not bugging people. How's real estate? Oh, you won't believe it. We got a free golf outing coming up.
I'm in, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's like,
fly here, man. So we just now are getting into that talk. So I have a couple of the women on my team that want to plan kind of a smaller brunch thing in September. And we're thinking, hey, a golf outing for the dudes or any ladies that want to join. And then we'll both be at both of those events to help serve the other group in whatever they're doing. So that's kind of a fun one to get into, especially coming off of the 1,000-person Reds game. I just realized 1,000-person event's just not for everybody. And some of our higher end clients that are big time golfers would absolutely be at a golf outing, but they're not bringing their wife to the Reds game. That's just not going to happen.
That's
so I'm starting to think a little bit more about what does that look like to serve our client base well as each, as we've grown now to 7 agents and 3 ops people on our team, what will suit them best in lead generation? How am I best serving my team in setting them up with these events? And a couple of them are golfers, a couple are not.
That's right.
Q3 might not be the event for you, but it doesn't mean your friends don't golf or some of your clients don't golf, and you can still invite them. So as we're expanding out from there, we want to make sure that we are doing those per year. And that is calculated truly by, if we want 10 touch points per person per event, that'll get us to that Keller Williams approved 40 touch points per person number if we're throwing 4 events. And nobody hates us. They all seem to love us.
I'll tell you, I love it. I love it. I mean, this is just had some conversations with some very high-minded people about similar stuff. It's just like in real estate, it used to be broker-centric, where like everything kind of was about the broker, right?
Yep.
I
get those comments now, and I almost don't understand it as somebody 4 years in. Well, we want to sell with this. We want to sell with Coldwell Banker. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything.
It really does, and most of people don't even know, right? I mean, Remax tried to do it, Keller Williams tried to do it, Coldwell Banker, Century 20. They all tried to like brand themselves as the answer, and it didn't work, right? Broker, and it was 50-50 for everybody, and that eventually was shocked out by Remax, and then Keller Williams, and then EXP with the agent-centric model, right? It's like the agent is the centerpiece. Well, my conversation piece was just like, all right, so you've got to evolve from the agent-centric even to where it's consumer-centric. It's got to be consumer-centric. And Zillow kind of went the consumer-centric method and did really well there. They did some things wrong, but they kind of led the way through the consumer-centric. And I think you're going to see a lot of people catch up very quickly in the consumer-centric model. But that's not where it stops. Like, what's after consumer-centric? It's going to be this tribal-centric. It's segmenting your database and talking to them in these groups of golfers, scrapbooking club members, book club people, and creating this tribe of people that it really has nothing to do with real estate, but it has everything to do with who they are and providing like the things that a leader should provide. You know, you have your warriors, you have your, the people who prepare the meal, you have your different elements, your segmented kind of what I call tribal centric. And it's like, you're ahead of the game on this. You're already thinking in terms of segmenting and providing something that is attractive for those people. We have a financial planner who just did a wild boar hunt in Nevada for some of his top clients. And how did he know to do that? Well, he asked them. Like,
you talked to them.
Would this be cool? Would this be cool if we did that? And they're like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. That's the trip of a lifetime. Two of the people had never hunted before.
Right.
But they're like,
I'd be up
for that.
there if I was invited to that. I've never hunted a thing.
I would be there. Like, why wasn't I invited? Wait a second. Scott, give me a call. Why was I not? And you know what? I'm not a hunter. But a wild boar hunt in Nevada, I'd be there just to watch the other guys. You know what I mean? So I just love. All right. So you do first quarter is what event, and then second quarter is what event, third quarter, and then fourth quarter. What's the first quarter event?
Yep. So here's the thing. I live in Ohio. So Ohio is freezing cold Q1. Yeah. So we've got some options there, which would be the first year I did a trampoline park. And here's a little bit behind the methodology here. I don't repeat events consistently, minus the Reds game. That Cincinnati Reds game, it's professional baseball.
That's your signature
and
event.
Anybody can show up, man, and they don't have to do anything. You want to know what's crazy? We had 1,300 RSVPs this year, 1,350, and it was absolutely slated to thunderstorm that day, and it did. And 900 people still came. Jeez. So when they showed up, they got their T-shirts, they got all their stuff, they got in the stadium. And this year, the Reds asked me as a group event to throw out the ceremonial first pitch at the game. So
Come on now, you know who you're talking to. I talk about the first pitch at every speaking engagement I ever go on. I say you should have a baseball event, and you know what? You should have somebody from your crew throw the first pitch, or fly me in so I can throw the first pitch, right? And it's just like we joke about it, but it's like
you better believe I hammed it up, man. So I had my business partner Mitch go out there and catch it, and Mitch told me afterwards. This might have been the coolest thing about this entire event, Michael. He messaged me afterwards that he's the biggest Reds fan that I know, and he said, "I just need you to know how much that meant." Like the fact that you picked me. And I said, buddy, there wasn't another person in the world I was going to pick to catch that pitch. You're my guy. We've built this together. He joined me at about a year and a half in. He was the person that came on and has scaled everything for me. Mastermind, future CEO of the company, basically already is. And for us to do that together, and you better believe I went out there and gave my best Johnny Cueto impression with the full back turn. Nice. Shout out to my boy Johnny Cueto.
There it is. There it is.
So the
double
hype
pumped
of that. Yeah. And so we made a video for Instagram before we ever did that to hype up the fact that we were doing the first pitch. It was the most responded to video we've ever put up. And it was a mixture of kind of a comedy video and informative of like, hey, we're doing this. And people were there early and they watched that and they ate their pizza for a 2-hour rain delay. By the time the first pitch was thrown, we were maybe down to 300 people, but people still didn't forget or regret that they came. They brought their kids to the ballpark. I'm telling you, every year we get 10 text messages afterwards. Hey, I just need you to know this was my kid's first game and we'll never forget this. Like when you get those, it's like, this is bigger than real estate. This is bigger than even just people. This is generosity paying off in ways that this family will never forget. And whether or not I'm their realtor in the future, Michael, I really don't care. I just love that we got to have that impact and showed love in that way to our community. So you asked about the different events. That is our midsummer every year, kind of year Q2, June, July event. Beginning of the year, we did outdoor ice skating last year, which was awesome, at Fountain Square in downtown Cincinnati, which is cool with all the buildings and stuff around you. Did a trampoline park. Q4, we slid in the COVID year, a drive-in movie. And that's smart. I didn't tell you this yet. This is now our way of launching our new agent. So I felt very blessed with my launch party in 2018 to get all those people to show up. And I will never live that down if that's the best way to start. So when I brought on Courtney and Johnny, 2 new agents, we framed up that drive-in movie event as Courtney and Johnny's launch party, the Barron Group drive-in movie. They can then reach out to everyone they know, shooting them that link from RSVPify, what I told you about, and then also shooting them our YouTube video, which, by the way, we do a video before and after every single event to hype it up. And with things like the Reds game, with every event, actually, we get a team photo. But with the Reds game, we actually all wear Reds gear and get like official looking, like, hey, we're a sports team picture. I will. I could go grab it off my fridge right now. It was the first time I've spent a cent on marketing for these things. I sent a mailer out to all of our past clients to the homes that they've bought with our team photo. And then on the backside, Sarah Jekyll's face. Sarah's our new agent. Sarah Jekyll's launch party, RSVP at this link with a little QR code. So we blasted them on Facebook, on Instagram, everybody on their personal pages, text messages, mailers, email, and 1,350 people RSVP'd, and not one of them, I don't think, felt bothered by the fact that we threw that event.
Oh my God. And how great for Sarah, right? I mean,
she continues to express that for her. And I looked around, and this was the first time, Michael, now that our team has 7 agents, I sat up on my little perch in the 500s and the nosebleeds of the game, and I looked at all of our agents with all of their posses sitting around them, chatting them up. All of their tribes, all of their people found each other. And then there's overlap, there's crossover. We all go to different churches in Cincinnati. All these people are talking to each other about where they go to church or who they know or how and they all leave there smiling. It's just a great night for everybody. At this point, and what did I listen to? You talked about the comedy night with somebody recently. Yeah, I'm stealing that. That was great. So
adults only.
To that.
Right? I mean, adults only. How cool is that?
And you said that on the podcast. You said every person that comes in here can give a referral to somebody else. And for the Reds game, that's not true for us. But the power of that event is still there. So what I heard from that one that I really liked, though, was the element of, hey, we brought all these people in, and we're providing value, and they're leaving and they're having fun and we're interacting. But they said they brought in a team of hired people to run all the administrative stuff. I realized that about 3 events ago, and we don't hire it, but our whole ops team, our entire lenders team, our title company, and our home inspectors all show up to run the books, hand out the t-shirts, provide the sunflower seeds, give out the gum, high five everybody. So for our lender, everybody's going, oh my gosh, you were our lender. They go down the line, holy smokes, you were our inspector. Holy smokes, this is our title guy. We signed our closing papers with you. So for them, those guys are now forking us big money because they're getting face-to-face interaction. They know that our team's going to do 200 deals this year, and they're getting every single one of those referrals from us. My painter, my electrician, all those guys are on the back of the t-shirt. They're all giving us money. And at the end of the day, guess what I'm doing? I'm literally hanging out at the Reds game with all my friends. I don't even worry for 1 second now about the RSVP process. I'm not a part of it. I just tell them what date, I lock it in. And even this year, I hand it off to Amber, who's our ops coordinator. She was the one talking to the Reds and planning everything. So I don't even do that anymore. It used to be me running it alone, and that was way detail oriented, way project managey. And now that I'm rid of that, I'm setting all of our agents to go and be there for their people. Just hang out and thank the ops team later because they're doing the hard work.
That's right. Well, but it'd be really hard work for us. But for them, it's kind of in their wheelhouse. That's kind of that's what they do anyway. And they love the same, like you love the peeps, and they love when it all comes together, right? They have that SC component, if you will, and they just really feel like, oh, your S people are like, oh my God, isn't this cool how we brought everybody together and everybody's so happy? And your C is like, oh, we have details to run, and they like a completed project. The event was the completed project, and they're like, look what we completed, Right. So they get joy from it for different reasons,
right? Seriously.
Right? Yeah, win for everybody, and it's a win for they really are sponsor partners in this case because you're generating business for them as well. Instead of them, a sponsor giving you $500 for a banner or a booth, you're giving tons of value to them in the form of referrals and leads and interaction with a lot of potential clients. So there's so many win-wins to it. It's leverageable and scalable and lots of fun.
We get questions about the events too of like, oh, well, do you let your lenders get up and talk? The second that my lender that I started out doing these events with asked me if he could have a microphone was when I realized he wasn't the partner. This ain't about us. This isn't about selling. This is about providing a value and an experience and giving those people every second of fun without 1 second of being sold to. Everybody's on board with that because they've seen it grow. You'll love this, Michael. I asked this specific lender who is now, I was at his 40th birthday party yesterday, become a really good friend and works with 100 people a year for us. I asked him when I was new, he sat me down to lunch and said, hey, you started out pretty good in real estate. What are you looking for in a lender partner? And I said, I'm looking for somebody to sponsor my events. And he goes, we don't really do that. I said, okay, that's cool. We parted ways. He saw the first Reds game I ever threw. He sends me a Facebook message. All right, how do I do the next one? Not just the next one. He sits me down to lunch and says, how many a year do you do? I said 4. He said, I want all of them and I'll split the cost. He saw what it was. He then was a believer, and he knew the leads and referrals are going to come in. And at this point, you're looking at a guy who is still as humble as being in 7,000th place in real estate in Cincinnati, because that's how I feel. But we're now in the top 20 agents. My name is in the top 20. I'm like, I started 4 years ago. I didn't have a license. That's ridiculous. I haven't bought a single lead. It has all been client events fueled by social media. That is it. We have not done anything else, and we will not break that recipe. We can add to it in the future. We'll dabble into some mailers and neighborhoods we want to be in, but to this day, right now, we have never done that. So that's an element.
You can do events to dominate those neighborhoods, right?
You
have such a crystal clear event system that if you sold a couple of houses in a neighborhood, you could do an event in that neighborhood at the pool or at the park or at the community building very, very easily. And if it was a golf community, you've got a ton of solutions there too. So it's like, you have an event system that is now a weapon to wield. It's something that you can utilize no matter what your target market or group of people you want to segment or go for. And you're going to win them over. You're going to win them over because people love to go to events and they love the fact that you're not trying to sell them, So I love it. And so let me ask you this, is what do you do in the fall? I have a little bit of a C component, just so you know.
Yeah.
So I've got spring, I've got the trampoline or the skating rink. I've got the summer is the Reds event. I got the winter is, what do you do in the winter again?
We've done trampoline park or ice skating outdoors. Yeah.
And then, so what's your fall event traditionally, or third quarter
fall event? And this is where I'm breaking the mold of, I did tell you the Reds game is our seasonal event that we do the same.
Yeah.
We got into a rhythm and a pattern now of 2 years now. We've done, with COVID in the middle, we've done Blooms and Berries, which is a farm market.
Oh, yeah.
So they have kids rides, kids hay farms, pumpkins to paint, a bouncy thing. Parents are loving it. Kids are loving it. We do nothing and we buy them lunch. So this year we catered Chick-fil-A, which is just my spot, and a perfect partner for us, truly. And so brought that in. So everybody loved that. We've done that 2 years in a row. So that's where I break the cycle this year and say, okay, in August, September, what does a golf outing look like? And for our women, what does another kind of brunch event look like where they can set it up the way that they want? And then next year, it doesn't even have to be at Blooms and Berries again. We could go back to a farm market kind of vibe of being able to bring people out. And what's funny, you learn stuff as you go. The first year, we bought vouchers for food for people at the farm market. The line was over an hour long because they were literally, they weren't equipped for that. They were grilling burgers on a grill. It was like, you guys, this ain't McDonald's. They're not pumping food out.
It's going to be slow.
So, and it was a 2 hour, 3 hour event, and people spent a third of it in that line. So we're really faithful at every event to get a group photo. My videographer is always capturing everything the whole time and boiling that down to a 2-minute video afterwards. His instructions are simple, Michael. If they're with our group, get them in the video.
That's right.
So
that's exactly right.
He can't possibly get them all. There was a time when he could. The Reds game with 1,000 people, you're going to get half, and that is pretty darn good, in my opinion.
And then you can send out, as part of your video, if you put it on social media, is please review the video, and if there's any shot in there that you want us to remove, please let us know. And everybody's going to watch it then to see if there's any bad photos or video.
Hit them with a different.
And I've only had one person in all my years want a photo or a part of a video taken out, and it was very appropriate because he was doing something inappropriate. So it just it was pretty easy to remove, and it justifies what I've said for 20 years when I send out and say, hey, if there's anything inappropriate there, for you. So So man, this is fantastic. This is let me ask you this, do you get referrals? I'm just guessing you get referrals at your events or you wouldn't do them. But how do you get referrals typically at your events?
It is fascinating to say this. At the event specifically, we do not push it. We don't tally. So I listened to some of the podcasts with you and I'm like, it's interesting to walk away and say, well, how many referrals did you get this event? Well, 0. Well, how many houses did you sell this year? 200. How many of those were from events? All of them. It's just it's this weird metric where I could try to zone in on where it comes from. The actual referrals coming from other human beings, we're much better at tracking. I have a link that if somebody sends me, hey, I just got your number from this person, that person immediately gets a link to a Google form which says, what's your name? Who did you send to us? And which of these gifts do you want? And which of these gift cards do you like? So that's systematized now, where the second that is hit, my operations team pops a gift card in the mail. And as soon as that person closes, they either get their Yeti or their sweatshirt or whatever it is that they checked on the list of items that they want. So we are affirming that behavior immediately to say, you are the bomb. Thank you for sending me this. And
so you get 200 referrals at least.
Yeah. We're not doing other lead generation, Michael. So it really comes down to the consistency on social media. And I mentioned my media guy. This year we brought him on full time, which I know people think I'm insane. I don't think there's a team in Cincinnati that has a full time video and photographer. He shoots every house. Last week he did 4 houses for us. He shoots our events. He shoots we're shooting tomorrow. Just a fun video for social media, which will be slow motion cannons going off of, hey, we hit 100 houses. We've helped 100 families this year so far. We can't wait to work with you guys before the end of the year. And he's going to have still shots of that per individual to post. He's going to have a team video to post of that for our team page. It just is everything that we do is so rooted in not just media, but the quality, professional, our brand level of media. And my favorite compliment I've ever gotten, this was a week ago, from a guy that's in the branding and marketing world, said, When I think of Baron Group, I think of a branding agency that happens to be in real estate.
Oh, wow.
And it was the greatest thing anyone's ever said to me.
That's the best ever, right? And what's funny is you're branding, but you're not force feeding it, right? You're not throwing your logo just everywhere to be everywhere. Right. It's got a heart around it and behind it and around, I mean, like, it's more about being top of heart in today's world than it is being top of mind. Right. The old days was being top of mind and branding their mind, and now it's really about kind of like speaking to their heart and being top of heart, right?
Right.
Let them feel you instead of thank you,
And I think part of that too, and this is deeper into my background than probably we dug earlier, but I was a market research consultant for 3 years prior to being in home building. That was working on branding and innovation projects for Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, Hershey Company, Pepto-Bismol, you name it, those companies. And we're getting to the core and doing the consumer research. I was the dude that sat around the table of 6 people and said, hey, I'm here to ask you the questions and digging in and getting the answers from people. And that lifestyle and those in-home interviews that we did taught me to understand there are tensions for consumers. There are issues to be resolved. And you can do that and be a hero. And you think about like the Donald Miller story brand kind of vibe of we can set our clients up to be prevailing in that way. And we want to do that. And then we celebrate them. Now, is every home a celebration? No. A lot of the sales are based on death or divorce or things that we're not going to blast on the internet. But overall, for our brand perspective, we want people to go to our page and go, this isn't templated. This isn't disingenuous. This is completely like what we expect from the Baron Group, because we know them, they love us, they're kind. Of course, they're throwing another event, and of course, they closed another house with a beautiful family posing for their professional photographer in front of their house. And we're going to continue to deliver that. And I think as long as we do consistently, my goal at the end of the day is to be the top team in Cincinnati. I am the guy that if we do not accomplish that goal, I will celebrate what we have done. And it does not matter to me if we get stuck at number 2 for 10 years. We will push and we will claw and we will rejoice and celebrate along the way. But if we don't get there, that doesn't matter. Life is much bigger than being in that number 1 spot. And there's a lot of sacrifice to get to that number 1 spot. I'd love to build it the way that we're all enjoying it and happen to get there because we're serving people well along the way.
Yeah, like drop the mic. That's a great way to kind of conclude the interview, right? I mean, because it says it all. It really is. I mean, our whole slogan, the Maher team, we're not number 1, you are.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
And we were all about, not worrying about being number 1. We were more about treating the client as number 1. It's exactly what you just said. I trademarked it because it became so popular in Kansas City that it just like, other people were starting to use it, and it's like, well, you can't really do that.
That's hard.
Yeah. So I trademarked it, and luckily my brother's an attorney, so
hey, that works out.
got to do that all right. So, but here's the thing: is here's what I think I think we're gonna have to get you back here in like 5 or 6 months, and what we'll do is we'll dive a little bit deeper on one event. What I really wanted to get across this event, well, first of all, is I wanted to get a chance to have a great conversation with you and just get to know you better. And the other one was because you really gave a really good summary of the all-YAP, right? The yearly appreciation plan and what that looks like with 3 or 4 events a year. And the fact that you're always inviting, you're always following up, you're always thinking, you're always planning ahead, and you always have a reason to talk to them that isn't asking for referrals. And I also have to, we're probably going to have to talk next time about diving deep on the use of the videographer. I truly believe that videographer and photographer should be full-time, should be somebody that you have on your staff, because there's always an opportunity for a video. There's always an opportunity for a photo. And if you're going to be in it, who's going to take the picture? Who's going to take the video? Right. And I love that your goal at your events was to have the videographer try to get everybody in it, because that's the truth, is they will watch the whole video to find themselves. And honestly, there's a little disappointment in the end if you're not, right? But
the amount of text messages I get of, dude, we weren't in any of the photos or videos, LOL. But that's not LOL. They say LOL.
Yeah.
So really, that's a heart thing.
Behind every joke, there's some level of seriousness, right? Exactly, remember that forever. I'm just telling you. But the thing is I'm making a mental note. It's like, all right, Cindy was not in the last video. She's the first one in the video next event. It's like,
it was bad. One of my agents complained that she wasn't in the video. Guess who was in the last video? A bunch. I was like, I can't let that happen. And that wasn't on anybody, but it's when you're cognizant and you're thinking ahead, how can we serve this person or how can we serve these clients, it's top of mind.
Well, and you live and learn with the videographer, right? I mean, the videographer is going to live and learn on what you want. You know, it's different. This is the way we do things is still different in the world. People have not caught on to, you know, event marketing, experiential marketing, and doing this event mastery system. And they're still learning. What I love, I mean, it doesn't shoot like a wedding, right? Yeah, I mean, what we have instead of a wedding party where we have two heroes, the groom and the bride, is we have 1,000 or 1,200 grooms and brides, and we have to feature each of them. So all of a sudden it becomes a different videography sequence for them. And coaching the videographer that's an art and a science when it comes to these events. So I love that you're doing that. I can't wait to talk to you in 6 months and you're like, here's what we did with the videographer, dude. I cannot wait to tell you. And we're going to dive deep. I think that's going to be the sole thing on the videographer is just like how you've used it, what you've learned from it, mistakes, successes, and we'll dive deeper onto that at a future episode. But man, this was phenomenal. I took a page of notes and got great ideas and just a great opportunity to get to know you better. And I love how you come from generosity and appreciation, man, and just continue doing what you're doing. You know, helping 200 families a year, and you know, helping us today for sure. And I just want to say thank you so much for being our guest today on Referrals Podcast.
Well, thanks for having me on, man. Again, that all started with a truly genuine thankfulness from me to you email that at the end of the day, I mean every word of it. I truly wanted to go out of my way when I thought of it, because you know how it is with life. When you think of something and then you don't do it in the moment, you're gone. I sat down on this couch right over here and said, I am writing this right now because otherwise it'll never happen. And I can't believe where it's already gone. I look forward to an extended friendship with you as a result of this, and continuing to push me with new heights with this podcast. I love it.
I love it. What you know what you might want to think about. I'm not going to put you on the spot here. This is live and people will hear it, but you might want to think about speaking at Referral Mastery Summit in Orlando in September. I think you're a natural, man. You're a you're so articulate, and you know, you talk about Baptist. I would have guessed you were a Baptist minister before.
Here's the thing.
You just put great thoughts together, you know.
Being the worship leader on stage for 400 people each week really takes the nerves out of public speaking. So
there you go. You nailed it, right? I just think that's something we need to invite you to and make sure happen, and people should tune into that. But I'm telling you, thanks a million for doing this, and we're definitely going to have you on again. So thank you.
I love it. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Danny Barron, Cincinnati, Ohio real estate agent. You got to check him out at barrongrouprealty.com. That's the address you want to go to for getting a new address in Cincinnati or referring anyone you know who wants to buy, sell, or invest in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's Danny Barron. Last but not least, check out RMS 22, Referral Mastery Summit, rms22.com. We're all getting together September 27th, 28th, and 29th to Love Fest. I'm telling you, it's going to be great. Hugs around, and we can't wait to see you in Orlando, Florida, September 27th through the 29th. Thank everybody for tuning in to this episode of Referrals Podcast, and we will see you next time. I'm telling you, you will not want to miss the next podcast. It is off the charts. Love you all. We'll see you next time on the next episode of Referrals Podcast. See you, everybody.